We're going to do something a little bit different today. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a little while. We are going to watch the first Deltarune video that I made 4 years ago at this point. And I'm going to react to it. I want to see, I want to see what I got wrong. I want to see like what I kind of still feel feels good. Hello, Gold Chevron. Hello, Zarami. I think I'm going to be uploading this like straight to YouTube. Hopefully it will be good content. But well, other than the fact that I need to back this up a little bit, it's not at the start. Let's get going.
Since the release of Deltarune...
Okay, so very first thing, before we even get started really, this was recorded back in 2021. I would not realize that I was trans until 2022, at which point I started transitioning my gender, and obviously things are going to sound different. And if you're ever like, but why aren't you talking in your real voice? No, that what we're hearing now in the video, that's not my real voice either. I was known to artificially deepen my voice. It was my announcer voice. I thought it made me sound cooler or something. So just get that out of the way. We're not going to think about that.
Deltarune Chapter 2 this September. Deltarune hype has been everywhere, unceasing, unavoidable, and I am no exception to this. So
why did I start it like that?
Trying something different. Yep, that's right. I'm doing a video game theory video. I hear they're all the rage these days. Worse, I am going to do something I actively dislike and make some predictions. I'm going to take you step by step through the locations of Hometown and give my thoughts on how likely each one is for another Dark Fountain to show up, based on narrative tropes and as much analysis as I can muster. Which isn't much, let me tell you. I am
no, it is
no
not
good at predicting things, but it'll be fun, right? That's what we're here for. But first, before we get started...
That's the thing, though. Predictions and theories, they're for having fun. They're not for being right. And I made this video fully knowing that, like, basically none of it was going to be right. So we're here to take that in and kind of appreciate it a little bit. I also kind of want to flip my webcam, because if I look... Yeah, I'm looking in the wrong direction. Can I do that? Hell, this is not the time to do it.
Spoiler warning. Perhaps unsurprisingly,
Reasonable.
this video is going to assume that you have already played and beaten Chapter 2 of Deltarune.
And yeah, this is just post Chapter 2.
Spoiled for yourself. If you haven't seen to the end of the chapter, pause this video now and go play the darn game.
Which is, of course, why I put a late chapter fight in as the background video.
Alright, here we go. We begin our
Toriel's house.
In perhaps the
Why did I
most
call it
obvious
that?
place. Toriel's house, or your house, or Chris's house, whatever
It's
you
the
want to call
Dreamer
it.
household,
Yes.
you weirdo.
At the end of Chapter 2, it seems that Chris has opened a dark fountain right in the middle of their own living room, subjecting Susie and Toriel to whatever no doubt upholstery-themed dark world they will all end up in.
Well, that was wrong. It was distinctly not upholstery-themed. That was distinctly a joke, though.
But as much as I'm looking forward to conversing with Cheriel,
Damn, yeah. You know, it's funny. I really wish that Cheriel had been important. They named the goddamn armchair. Why are we not allowed to interact with it? It's hilarious, though, that, like, I was like, obviously we'll get to talk to Cheriel, and it's the couch that you actually interact with. Like, it sort of makes sense in hindsight, but I think it also speaks to, like, how much I really wanted Toriel to be part of Chapter 3's Dark World, and she just wasn't. She's a MacGuffin, and I'm still not sure why that was.
Have to say, I can't call this a sure thing.
Okay, that was kind of dumb.
If that sounds ridiculous,
Yes.
If you're thinking, wait, Chapter 3 is most certainly going to involve a Toriel Dark World.
If you said that, you would be wrong. It was not a Toriel Dark World.
Well, think back to the end of Chapter 1 and how it related to the beginning of Chapter 2. It seemed for sure like something sinister was going to occur. Chris removed your control over them, they got a knife, they had that super evil expression, and it almost sounded like they were gonna kill Toriel.
Yep.
Like, wow. And yet it turned out to be the setup for a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Toby Fox is here to troll the crap out of us, friends and neighbors. Whatever expectations we may build up, they are going to get subverted at every opportunity.
And, of course, approaching things from meta direction where you're expecting subversion is like, it's actually kind of the opposite kind of bad from forgetting that your expectations can be subverted. The answer lies somewhere in the middle.
So I find it entirely possible that Chapter 3 will open not in an instant dark world, but with someone complaining about the smoke and trying to open a window or something.
Look, that was actually a good guess. That was legitimate, but also now we know Chris was just opening a dark world.
Some other kind of fake-out resolution. And if you think that's just wild speculation, also consider the other two things Chris does at the end of Chapter 2. First, we have slashing the van's tires.
Yeah.
Now, I have been puzzling over this for months.
Could not make heads or tails of this.
Figuring out
it took me so long.
And yet it must be significant, or why else would it have happened? Let me know in the comments what you think.
They did.
Second, before making the fountain, Chris opened the front door of the house. This is also significant, though how or why we can't quite tell.
They were both related, actually.
All I do know is that previous Dark Worlds have taken place in single enclosed rooms. Could opening the door mean that all that dark energy is going to escape, turning...
You know, actually, it is kind of interesting that doesn't happen. Chapter 3 and Chapter 4, we enter... we have a dark world with a door open into it, and it stays within that room with just like some evil smoke, coming out of it. And that's the kind of thing that at this point I'm going, that's significant. I don't know what it means.
Tomorrow's festival, or
also
even
I thought the festival was
going to
be Chapter 3 or 4.
All its own.
It's hard to keep track of what day it is.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. The carnival's been mentioned far too many times in Chapter 2 for it to not actually be important. And if that's the case, this video is going to look really stupid in hindsight.
It's going to anyways.
Let's discount the possibility for the sake of argument. Still, even with all that in mind,
I would
say that Toriel's house is still a pretty likely
festival
for a
dark
fountain,
world,
whether in Chapter 3 or maybe even later. Never using it would just be a hell of a thing to fake out the audience with.
No, that's absolutely correct.
Since Toriel lives at the northernmost tip of hometown, let's just travel south, shall we?
Logical.
Oh yeah.
We're
definitely going to see Noelle's house at some point.
Okay, so we definitely did.
We have to. We have to meet her mom, who's going to be serious and overbearing and just completely awful. We have to help Noelle get through her mommy issues.
Yes.
We have to find out what the hell happened to Des.
Not yet.
And what better way to solve the Holiday family's problems than take...
It's funny, I don't think I actually considered that Des's disappearance might actually be like the inciting incident which the whole plot revolves around. There's so many fun ways a festival-themed Dark World could look. Yes, it really could. Like, considering that this is like it's got to be like an end of fall festival. Like, it's very obviously autumn in hometown just from the trees and everything. And, like, there's a Halloween decoration in the church closet. Like, have us a nice big spooky nightmare town. That would be awesome.
A trip to a wintry hellscape, courtesy of someone, maybe even Noelle herself.
It's funny that the wintry hellscape was actually in Chapter 3, within the Dreamer house. I still don't know what the hell the cold place is supposed to be. Is it the fridge? Is it the air conditioning unit? Is it something else and I'm just being dumb? I have no idea.
Opening a dark fountain in hometown's ritziest domicile. Seriously, there can't be a giant gate cutting off the edge of a map without whatever lies beyond being significant.
Yeah. You know, it just occurred to me, I wonder if the cold place is actually, like... Well, no, I guess it isn't, because they do... No, they leave through the doors and go to the outside. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just thinking aloud.
Gonna see Noelle's house, and there's almost assuredly going to be a dark world in it.
Not yet.
I rate this one very possible and highly likely.
I'm not... Thought it was still a television, TV, snow, and all. Oh my god, that's brilliant, Gold Chevron. TV snow. Duh. Oh my god. Do I think we're going to have a dark world in the Holiday house? I do think it's actually possible, but I'm a lot less certain. It doesn't feel quite as sure a thing as I was thinking it was originally.
I'm going to lump all three of these houses together because the answer for two of them is
definitely not.
Caddy with a Y, Caddy with an I, and Bratty with a B are not so far important enough to the story of Deltarune to merit seeing inside their houses.
Of course, that being said, they all have talk portraits, and I'm pretty sure that the younger Caddy, which I can never remember which, is going to be important. Maybe in Chapter 5, probably in Chapter 6.
They're mostly just Undertale cameos, and I don't expect they'll continue to be anything more than that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And if any of them did end up in a dark world, it'd be somewhere else in town.
Yes.
That said, I won't completely discount the idea of a dark fountain happening in Napstablook's house. I mean, the likelihood is low, but given that we've already had interactions with Mad Dummy and Mettaton through the door, and Napstablook in the flesh, sheet, ectoplasm.
Whatever. You know, it's funny to think about this, because, like, at this point, I think we've kind of gotten the most out of any possible interactions with the Blooks, giving Mettaton the Tenna, the TV. Like, yeah,
I'd say there's a solid chance they'll become more relevant to the general overworld story as time goes on.
I missed a space in the
and
captions.
A ghostly dark world might not be far behind.
No, it's not.
Does it really bug anyone else that you can't go to your dad's shop in Chapter 2? Like, why?
Like, do we even need to watch this part? I don't feel 100% sure that Chapter 4 is going to be Flower King. I could see, Chapter 5. I could actually see Chapter 6 being the Flower King Dark World, but one of those two chapters, like, obviously.
Dad, come on. It's us. Let us in. We definitely will not stab you in your sleep. Anyway, if I were rating this on a scale of how likely I think a location is for a future Dark Fountain, I'd give Flower King a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, yes.
How could it not be? He's got 7 rainbow flowers arranged in an arc upstairs.
You don't fucking do that and not open a Dark World in that place.
There's so much stuff to interact with, so many interesting things to look at, and a ready-made floral theme to build a dark world around.
Yes.
Asgore's already inserted himself into the light world story, so why
should
it be any
times
different with the dark world? Look forward to Chris vs. Daddy issues coming soon to a Deltarune near you.
Chris vs. Daddy issues. 10 out of 10.
Well, obviously I don't mean the lake itself, see previous comment about dark worlds being contained, but given Onion-san's presence in the lake and the way they've been doling out information
Susie
piece by
does
piece
see
to us so
him.
far, I wouldn't be surprised if there were an island or an opposite shore we could get to later in the game. Maybe an underwater ruin?
You know, it's funny, I still kind of feel like this is a possibility. Mostly just because we didn't freaking see Onion for 2 chapters. Like, why the hell was he building up to, I'm going to go find out more about the song Under the Sea, and then we don't find out. Like, what the hell?
I wouldn't put it past Toby. Just anywhere that Onion-san could take you would work. Or if you haven't befriended them, maybe you could build a bridge or get a boat ride. Maybe from a certain cloaked ferryman? Anyway,
not.
I don't know what could be on the other side of the water, but whatever it is, if it exists, there's a good chance it would be a Dark World entrance in a future chapter.
Yes,
That said, I'd give it maybe a 50-50 odds on being possible, with a high likelihood for fountainage if something like this does exist. We'll have to see.
Maybe less of a possibility, but yeah.
I'm of 2 minds about both of the restaurants on Hometown's 2nd Street. On the one hand, they have a lot of the so far unspoken criteria that I've been using to evaluate the places on this list.
The freaking caption went off the side of the
strong
screen.
themes around which a world could be built. They have lots of things you can see and interact with, which could be used to populate said world.
Very specifically, Icy's pizza, for all that it is ice themed, like really good fire world possibilities there. Normal NPCs showing up here just makes the whole place feel a whole lot weirder, yes.
And they have people in them with strong personalities, whose stories you could potentially see unfold in the Dark World, as we did with Noelle and Birdley in Chapter 2. That said, they almost have too many people.
Yeah, they almost have too many
QCs
people.
especially. I think a Dark World place there would be way too busy to be worth the effort. The story
Although
would
you
get
never
bogged
know,
down
they-
as you tried to help and or
They
save all
could
those
just
people.
be asleep
For all
the
that I'd
whole
like
time.
to see more about Chris's relationship with Caddy with an I don't know
good.
that QC's is the right setting for it.
Yes.
And Icy's is, let's face it, a little too ridiculous. I mean, Burger Pants is there.
Burger
Though
Pants is there.
Maybe that's a point in its favor.
I mean, Burger Pants does have a talk sprite, but I literally just think that's because of the stupid faces that he makes. in the Talks Bite. Yeah, you go a whole Fire and Ice theme and Ices, exactly.
Hard to say. Either way, I'm putting them both on the possible but not very likely list.
I agree with that.
Time for another 2-for-1 special. We've seen Sans' business now, and we're assuredly going to see the inside of his house after Papyrus makes his triumphant Deltarune debut in, hopefully, Chapter 3?
Oh, no.
Which I am definitely
no,
looking
sir.
forward to. But are
not
either
in the
of them
slightest.
going to be locations for a dark fountain? No. And it's for one
I forgot
simple
about
reason.
that part.
That would be giving Undertale fans...
Hang on, I gotta back that
But
up.
are either of them going to be locations for a dark fountain? No. And it's for one simple reason. That would be giving Undertale fans what they want.
Yeah,
Tony Fox
no.
and Deltarune are not here to give people what they want. They are here to give us what we need. That said, I could see Papyrus having a Dark World adventure with Chris from another location. Maybe. But not Sans. He's just going to be around to make jokes about befriending your mom and not knowing how to run a grocery store.
Like, the thing that we have seen with Sans now is that he is important in the light world and not the dark world, and I think that is, in itself, important.
And quite honestly, that's all I really ask of him. Sans' place gets a somewhat possible and a really not likely.
Yeah.
I'm mostly including these for the sake of thoroughness. I don't see the various apartment buildings as being important enough to even merit us going inside eventually, let alone produce a dark world. I mean, who lives there? Snowy? Monster Kid? Minor characters at best. Potential Dark World sidekicks in the future?
Probably not for
Perhaps
those
kinda
two.
maybe, but again, they're not important enough to warrant a full-on adventure. This is really neither likely
They're just there for
nor
flavor
possible.
and references.
So, if we disregard the thing I said earlier about needing enclosed rooms, I could actually kind of see the alleyway as a potential Dark World hotspot.
I mean, yeah, I think a dark world open in the alley would just be contained to the alley.
Like, it's sketchy, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got flowers in trash cans, you've got keen graffiti, you've got milk in a bowl. And like, does Alphys live there or something?
Honestly, I still don't know.
Saw Brady there this time, but she has a house. Alphys does not. Is she but a lonely gutter snipe?
And to really confuse the whole issue about monster blood, the small rabbit child caused so much confusion, yes.
Desperate weeb just barely holding on to her sanity as she struggles to make ends meet with a job she's too timid and spineless to be effective at? Well, yeah. And it certainly seems like
Alphys is my fave, don't at me.
characters have so far been placed to keep us from getting to the back of the alley.
She's my
which is
fave from
highly
Undertale,
suspicious. But on the other hand, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
going to put the police station in the probably not category, except that I just realized it could totally be the centerpiece of the chapter where Alphys and Undyne realize their love is true and good and pure and will last the test of time.
Now that Undyne's in the dark world, I'm honestly not sure about this. I do think the prediction that Alphys and Undyne, like, finally meet and have some sparks or something, I could see that happening in a dark world. For some reason, Alphys is, like, my top pick for, like, unexpected boss fight in a future chapter. I don't know why. I can't remember the logic that I went through originally to come up with that conclusion, but...
And, I mean, I guess we could also learn what happened to Asgore to get him kicked off the force.
We already
but
know that.
Who cares about that when we could have fish-lizard kissies?
Correct.
We'll put this in the solid maybe category.
Also, less than maybe.
What's up with that blocked road off to the left of the station?
That's where Des died.
Just what is Undyne hiding? It's a prime spot for a previously unknown locale to suddenly be unveiled in a future chapter. Just saying.
You know, honestly, I don't think so. Excuse me. Unless it ends up being, like, related to the festival. I don't know. Hard to have a parade in a town this small. The police station was your joke chapter 4 theory. Yeah, see? Reasonable. I mean, even if you look back at it now, it's like, yeah, we understand how involved at least Asgore was in all of everything, so it's not impossible.
It might be a little on the nose so bright to throw a dark fountain in the
Why
hospital
did I say that?
just so we can hang out with Noelle's old man for a while. But I can't help but feel like the hospital is the perfect place for one.
Like, Rudy Knight theory, this would definitely be wrong, but I think Rudy Knight theory is not doesn't hold up very well. I don't know. I'm really just gunning for Des.
It's just got so much going for it. Between the medical theme, the creepy receptionist, any
It kind of
random
does,
person
yeah.
can be remanded to the right-hand care unit, and of course there's good old Rudy. That said, for all I think it's a good fit, do I think it's likely for the hospital to play host to a dark world? Not really, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I'd call it maybe possible, but not very likely.
Maybe possible. So, in other words, I don't know. My story was that Undyne would see Chris and Susie carrying the TV to the school, think they're up to no good, put them in jail until morning, when Tori would ask where we'd sort it out, and then the night would open a dark world right in front of us, and we could do nothing to stop them. That's actually pretty fun. That's pretty good. That could still happen.
I mean, if that happened, and you did all get sucked into a dark world, Rudy might just not make it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Okay,
he's
we know what
almost
you're thinking,
assuredly... Rudolph Holiday, mark my words, is almost assuredly going to be dead before the end of this game. Like, that's just the direction in which he's headed. The fact that we saw him up and about in the church in Chapter 4 is... It's almost there to give you too much hope that, like, he might recover or at the very least not die anytime soon.
There's
School
4 rooms in
again.
the school, and there's already been a dark fountain opened from one of them.
From
Alphys's
of
classroom
them.
is maybe a little bare to host a good dark world, but the kindergarten room Toriel teaches in isn't. I mean, you could finally get your reckoning with the throne of the gods.
We did see the...
Just think,
Did I mention
a
it?
whole chapter dedicated
No.
to pondering the extent of man's hubris.
The
It would be
table of
glorious.
the gods
No,
or
but
whatever.
really, there's an entire classroom that we have yet to be let inside after 2 chapters, and I must know what is in there.
I have a feeling we're never going to find out. It's just there to balance out the map, essentially.
I think a return to the school is entirely possible, though probably not very likely for a dark world, but
Yeah.
it's still more likely than a return to the library, which is why I haven't included it in this list. As gung-ho as I am about Noelle's house being a location for a dark fountain, it's probably significantly more realistic to say that, while we'll definitely get to visit it one day, the fountain is more likely to appear in the town hall. That way we can still get to interact with Mayor Holiday, but more on her terms, possibly even without Noelle in the picture. It'd be a good scaffolding for painting her as a villain, or
Oh,
even
we don't
as
need scaffolding
someone
anymore.
torn between 2 bad choices, struggling to do what she thinks is right by the town while wondering if maybe she shouldn't be a more attentive mother. Is it very likely, though? Maybe. Strong maybe. Yeah, well, I could see it.
I am actually convinced that the town hall is one of the 2 must-have places. Well, not alongside Flower King. Like, it's the bunker. I think Carol's office, because that's where she is calling from when Chris is on the phone and getting the black text boxes. She's in a dark world in her office trying to get shit done, which is also why she spends all of her time there, because she's obsessed with getting her daughter back, and what the hell else is she going to do? She doesn't have a whole lot of shit to do in this town. It's small, it's sleepy. The only bad thing that's ever happened here is already happened, and she's just trying to reverse it.
Okay, if you take one thing away from this video, it is this prediction. The church will absolutely be the location of a dark fountain in a future chapter.
I'm
Maybe not
actually
chapter
doing way
3,
better than
maybe
I
not
thought.
Even chapter 4.
Nope, that's
but
chapter
all
4.
signs point to it being a major locale.
Yes.
I mean, Gerson Boom is all over this game already. You can't walk 2 feet through town without someone or something mentioning him.
Really?
Plus, we know a Mrs. Boom runs, or at least works at, the library.
Oh, we
and
do,
now
yeah.
here's his son, the pastor of the local church, having 2 minor but very prominent interactions with the main characters over the first 2 chapters of the game. He's one of the most colorful and obvious NPCs in Hometown.
And yet he wasn't involved in the dark world. It just goes to show that the light world NPCs, designs or whatever, have nothing to do with anything.
One who isn't an Undertale cameo, and whose story we know very little of at this point.
May
We're
never.
going to be finding it out sometime in the future. Add in how important religion and religious iconography have been in both Deltarune and Undertale, and there's no way we're not going to have to help Alvin deal with shouldering the burdens his father has left on him.
I was actually right about that. At least a little bit. We've gotten a little, yeah, Susie wrote down that letter from Gerson to Alvin.
It's a story I am very much looking forward to.
And
The
it was
church
worth
is
it.
both highly possible and highly likely, in my opinion, as a location for a dark
Yes.
fountain. And yet, this is somehow only the location that I am second most sure about.
Also, like, it was kind of a gimme. You don't have a church with cool stained glass windows and not make a church Dark World.
In a letter to
What
Alexander
the fuck?
Selenovich Lazarev, modern author and playwright Anton Chekhov
we're
wrote,
talking about Chekhov's
"One must
gun.
never place a loaded rifle on the stage if it isn't going to go off. It's wrong to make promises you don't mean to keep." From this missive, we get the phrase Chekhov's gun, defined by Wikipedia as a dramatic principle that states that every element in a story must be necessary.
I guess I'm
and
one of those
irrelevant elements
YouTubers.
should be removed. The phrase is also used to describe those elements themselves. In case you weren't paying attention, I have been talking about Chekhov's guns throughout this entire video.
Yeah.
The slashed tires, the gate and police tape
Paid
point
off, not
northwestern
paid
portions
off.
of hometown, mentions of the festival and going to church,
Kinda paid
Papyrus's
off.
absence,
Nope.
the open door. These
Yep.
are all Chekhov's guns. All promises that Toby Fox has made to us.
Paid
These
off the
disparate
door.
hints are all going to pay off later on in the story. And of all the Chekhov's guns in Deltarune, the bunker is the biggest, glowingest one. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure I'm telling you nothing you haven't already figured out for yourself.
And like, now that we know Undyne is there and there's a pad and Chris has problems with it, like, it's another gimme.
When I say there's definitely going to be some Dark World shenanigans happening there eventually.
Probably
I
chapter
rate
7.
it both extremely possible and so likely that it may as well have already happened.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I still stand by that. Honestly, I feel like it's going to be chapter 7 that we finally get inside of it, but also we're going to have to do the Carol's Office Dark World first, possibly in the same chapter. Like, because otherwise it's going to be Flower King, Carol's Office Bunker.
I mean, what else could it be for? Unless it's where the
Yes.
kids hid Dessa's body or something.
Also, yes.
Please don't let it be where the kids hid Dessa's body.
Oh, damn.
Oh, I bet you thought I was done. No,
No.
siree, I've got one more weird theory in my pants hole, and that is that we could stumble across a dark fountain somewhere
yeah.
that couldn't even be captured in a playthrough. I'm not just talking about locations outside of hometown, like what's beyond the lake or the block street. I mean some kind of liminal, metafictional, fourth wall breaking space where the conflict is between we the players and Chris.
I mean, eventually, yeah. Like, I at this point, I had not really fully grasped the difference between Chris and us, the way I have by the end of chapter 4, if not also chapter 3. I do see some kind of showdown like that happening, but probably not outside the map.
This would almost assuredly be your Chapter 7 finale, and it would probably be completely mind-blowing. Do I
Yeah.
think it's likely? Yeah, honestly I do. Maybe not the highest likelihood out of all of these, but definitely a possibility that should be considered. I can't think of a better way to approach the player versus avatar struggle that's been laid out in this game than by completely breaking the game world, and that means a tripped out dark world filled with our worst fears about ourselves. Won't that be fun? And that's it. My completely
That's it?
off-the-wall
Oh, okay.
ideas about
Cool. So, yeah. Let's finish
where
it. Why
dark
not?
fountains might be located in future chapters of Deltarune.
I actually
How'd I
didn't do too
Leave a comment
badly.
if you think you can make predictions better than me, because let's face it, I am no real authority on Deltarune or Undertale, and you probably can. Also, be sure to leave a like if you like this video, because yes, I am self-promoting at the end of the video, because that is what one does, my dear. Don't feel pressured to subscribe, though. Certainly not if you want to see more
What?
videos like this one, because I don't expect to make any more, really. I mean, if you like ponies,
It certainly
or
took a
watching
while,
people
didn't
play
it?
card
Yeah.
games or eat food, maybe sub and hit the old bell, but if this is all you came for, go in peace. Be free, my child. The guilt shall not touch you in this life.
No, wait,
Thank you
come
for
back,
watching.
please. Okay, that's it. That's it for this. Thank you for joining me. Do indeed hit the bell and the like. Apparently you have to tell people this, or they just don't remember that that's a thing you should do when you like a video on YouTube. I will see you all later. Take care.